Hello, and welcome back to the Modeling Success in Action podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and today I am joined by just the most fabulous, wonderful Queen Alexis. So, Queen is the founder of Queen's Academy and has been teaching musical theater children's programs since 2013. She's passionate about creating accessible performing arts experiences for all kids, especially those in BIPOC and PRIDE communities. Welcome, Queen. It's so great to have you on the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. When I say that she's awesome, fantastic, like I'm not just trying to flatter her. I really truly believe this. When I first met her, she was awe-inspiring to me. Uh I often say if you were around when I was a kid, it would have been pretty amazing. But when we say 2013 for context, Queen is, for those of you who can't see her, she's a glowing picture of youth. She's been doing this since she was like a preteen. Like she started her business many moons ago. So I think that that's really awesome. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about, how you got started doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah. I started really from a passion of not being able to have a program where I saw myself represented and from a background of not being able to financially afford the arts. And so I wanted to create a space where kids could access the arts and not have finances or any socioeconomic backgrounds impact their ability to be a part of the arts. And so it kind of started from like a silly little like, "Ooh, I'm a bossy teenager and my friends have little siblings coming over and we can dance and sing." And then from there it just kind of grew into a whole program where all the kids are joining in. And then following COVID, I decided that this is something that like I could profit from and started charging for the programs while still fighting the balance of creating accessible opportunities, and then also paying me what I'm worth. So yeah.
Yeah. So how do you decide, what that's going to look like to make sure that it stays accessible? Do you do a sliding scale? Is it just that you keep your rates nice and low? Like how do you manage to keep it accessible? Well, getting paid what you're worth. You're totally right. People in the arts, I have a degree in opera for people who are not super aware of my background, but when we're in the arts, we often get expected to do things for free, right?
Mhm.
Just for exposure or experience. So
Mhm.
so charging what you're worth and owning that is kind of a big deal. So how do you balance that?
Honestly, I say that I got into business because I'm really passionate about what I'm creating and what I'm offering our community, but not because I know anything about running a business. So as far as like the sliding scale side of things go, I offer a sliding scale, and it's based on truly an case by case honorarium system where if they come to me and they're like, "Oh, I need support to be able to access this program," I'm no one to deny that because that was me as a child. I wasn't able to be in the arts. I was raised by a single mom, and so I don't want that to prevent any families. And so overall, I keep my programs feasibly accessible compared to other local competitors of arts programs in the Lower Mainland. And then I also offer additional sliding scale fees to balance that.
Wow. Okay. So Queen and I sat down for a coffee recently and I was getting curious about her and her model of the world before we got on the show together. And I really appreciated kind of the way that when you're making your decisions, you're really keeping your own values and ethics top of mind. And
Hmm.
it shows in the work and the way that you're providing this access to people. So I'm curious, was there a personal experience for you or a turning point that first sparked this way of being for you?
Mhm, mhm, and I mean, I feel like I touched on that a little bit. I was in the arts for a few years and wasn't able to afford continuing in the arts, so that's one side of it that really drew me to that turning point of wanting to still be a part of the arts in some way. How could I make that possible? Also recognizing that I'm not the only one who is experiencing this. I'm not the only one who is being denied or deprived opportunity for the arts. So, like, can I create a program or a space or a class that embodies that accessibility? And then also being a person of color, being a Black woman as a child, I was the only Black kid in this class. And I wanted to create a space where I was seen and I felt seen and I had other kids that looked like me. Representation, I feel like we could talk about all day, is so important. And so creating a space specifically for that or centered around that, having kids of all types of disabilities or backgrounds or what be it have a space to feel seen and celebrated, I think is it's kind of why I started, like my why behind why I started.
So
So,
you're really valuing, that representation, the community, right? And actually other people, right? Because you're
mhm,
looking beyond yourself and you're going, how can I help these people? How can I support them? How can I make sure that they're getting all the things that, I wish I could have had access to
mhm,
as a kid?
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So has it been a walk in the park or have there been challenges along the way as you've been building up Queen's Academy?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I battle a lot with cost with how to scale the program and have it reasonable and accessible while also seeking partnerships and sponsorship to be able to see that come to life. I recently partnered with three Black organizations in the Lower Mainland. I partnered with Black Business Association BC, Black Connect Vancouver, and Royals Community Center in Surrey, and they're fully funding and sponsoring our first ever Black youth summer camp in August. And so I'm really excited to have an opportunity for Black youth in particular to be able to come and have a space that's centered around them and for them to just rejoice and celebrate. Um, so yeah, that's my biggest hurrah as of lately is overcoming that challenge and creating the space for them, taking away the financial burden or anything like that, so that they feel that there's a space for them.
Mhm. That's so awesome. So I'm curious, when you see these kids that maybe have never had a chance to have these experiences, what's it like, what is their experience like when they come to one of your programs?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for the kids who come to my program, but I'd like to think that they're feeling safe and seen and celebrated.
Yeah.
I feel I was that kid who was very ADHD and so all over the place and had so much to share and so much passion and energy, and it can so easily be uh, uh, sucked out and shut down and not celebrated. And so I hope to think that the kids who come through my program are feeling that the opposite of that, that they're feeling like their ideas are important and that they're getting a chance to shine for who they are and meet them where they're at. I think that
Mhm.
so much of programs are so structured and so strong in a curriculum based orientation where I want to create a space that's a bit more flexible, will still with still structured to be able to support the individual kids.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're still mounting a performance,
Yeah.
right? They still have to, learn the songs,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah. But how we get there
yeah.
is a journey and individualized.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So I know you say you're not in the minds of the children. You can't exactly speak for them, but from your perspective, what have you seen happen?
I think one of my favorite things about the work that I do is the the journey, the adventure, seeing the growth and the development of the child, even if it's like a 1 week summer camp. You have them come on the Monday morning and they're so reserved and so into themselves and not quite ready to open up and share and who they really are, right? That silly side, whatever that looks like. And then by the Friday, the performance, they're on stage and they're performing in front of all the 30 parents, right? Which is a big deal for a 7-year-old to get up there. So I think that that's my favorite thing is seeing this kid who feels so alone and insecure and then them blossom and grow just through like 5 days together is pretty empowering.
Right. And that's, a lot of people, they question, the value of the arts, right? And especially if you're going to be pouring lots of money into this kind of thing, like what's the point? What do you get out of it? But seeing them, test their own limits and have experiences, even from my own my own personal experience of being in choirs or group ensembles or doing opera performances, right? You really have to hold yourself accountable. You really have to see, what you're willing to do and push yourself through your limits. So like it's a whole experience. It's like, people who are athletes, it's the same kind of thing.
hmm
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times it's like the end result. It's like what comes after or what the final product is, but I think there's so much value and joy in the process of just being
Mhm.
a part of that environment and the skills that you build that are so hidden and like sneaked into all the activities that we do, where they're actually building so much. There's so many studies. I did a thesis recently that was on the value of the arts and how even like being a part of an arts-based education or extracurricular can improve like math and reading and test scores, even though they seem not correlated, but they actually really are, which I think is really fascinating.
Mhm. So, I mean, That's obviously, like, how it can correlate to, like, to kids and their process and their development, whether they're in elementary, high school, even in university and you're still trying to learn. But in your adult life, in your adult experience, what is the art, how is it supporting you in your own personal growth and development? What are you finding from that?
Oh, I absolutely love it. I think there's like a study of like the average child laughs 30 times a day, but the average adult laughs like once a week or something like that. And I am definitely living that childlike innocence of laughing every day. I'm laughing all day, every day. And I just know that because of that, I'm going to live like what, 10 years longer than the average. So, yeah, no, I love it. I think that it's the joy that have a teacher who says that it's the energy of the kids that feeds her energy and feeds her soul, and the joy that she gets from it is being with the kids and the energy that she feeds off from them, which I really love that idea. And I totally agree with that. When I'm with the kids, I have the energy, I have the passion and the love for it because of the kids that I'm with and the energy that they bring. I feel like I can learn so much from them.
Mhm. Are there any moments when you're feeling like you're bringing your own emotional stuff in, your own stresses, because I have a fellow hypnotist and she's got a lot of chronic pain, right? And when she's with her clients, she actually doesn't feel her own pain because she's so in the zone and so connected up and so in the flow and the energy of what's happening between that clients that she's not in herself. So when you're with the kids and you're in the energy of that, are you able to really just put that stuff aside for yourself?
Mm, that's a really great question. And honestly, I feel like I'm going to go to work tomorrow and I'm going to think about it. I'm going to see. I think that I have ADHD, so I feel like my hunger is totally gone when I'm with the kids. If I don't, if the kids aren't eating, then I won't eat. Like, that's not like a second thought for me, or if I'm doing something else. So I don't feel my own hunger. But I mean, that also could be an ADHD element as well coming in there. But I think that if my phone goes off and I see my phone, and I do have my phone on me for like safety reasons and also for playing music, then I can get taken out of it into my own world. But I feel like if I'm immersed in an activity, I'm pretty there. Like I'm pretty present. And I really strive to be present when I'm with the kids because of how much screens can be a burden and your own personal can be a burden. So I'd say that I strive to be, but to be honest, I don't know.
Hmm. It's kind of interesting though, because as you were describing it, it really is a way of getting outside of ourselves, right? When you're fully, like you said, immersed, right? Like you're
Mhm.
in their world. You're in the world of music, play, imagination, right? Creativity. And when you're in that world, it's not the same world as, self-doubt or judgment or, all of that
Mhm.
other stuff. That messiness that we can get caught up in. So
Mhm.
it's kind of a nice example of what it could look like. I mean, because you don't have to be a kids class facilitator to get sucked into a world of imagination, right? Where in everyone's everyday life could they find places where they could get, so immersed in what's happening that they're just in
Mhm.
that zone. Yeah.
Mhm.
So okay. So I'm curious. Have you had any challenges or failures or anything throughout this that you can tell us about you know, that helped you get to where you are now? Can you teach us about that?
I feel like I have failures every day, and it's like, what's that quote? It's like, it's not a mistake or something. There's something about mistakes. Like it's a child's like elementary quote about how mistakes are important for growth. Similar to failure, I think that they teach us so much. I think I often reflect each day that I teach, and I'm like, oh, I should have done this different. And there's a lot of negative talk towards myself at the end of the day. Like, even though I've been teaching for like over 10 years, every time I teach, there's always something that I could have done differently, even if it's so simple and minute, where it's like, oh, that child was having a hard time coping. I said this to support them, but was that the correct language? Because everything is so important that you say to a kid, they're going to take it so, maybe they're going to take it so like personally and really hang on to what you say. So it's so I have to be so careful in the words that I choose to use around kids because if I'm telling them, oh, you are brave, and they're going to believe that. So the words that I tell them are so important. And so sometimes have a reflection in the evening and be like, "Oh, I should have said this differently," and that's like a small teacher fail. I feel as though it's a small teacher fail that I'm like, "Oh, how can I do that differently the next day?" I would say those are like my main fails. They're just like little things in the
So
moment.
how do you move through that? Like, do you just hold on to the failure, or are you using it to future pace like, "Okay, cool, I'll say that next time."
Often, yeah, I'll just Google it. I'll be like, "What what could I have done? What could I have done differently? What language should I have used?" Or I'll piggyback off of like other teachers or educators or like people in my circle and be like, "Oh, this is a situation I had. I dealt with it this way. What would you have done differently?" Because I'm only one person, and the ideas that I have are only my ideas. But there's so many fantastic educators and psychologists I like to piggyback off of a lot too. So yeah.
Mhm. So you're willing to model other people and look at what's working and try it
Oh,
on for yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
Right
love
in
that.
line right in line with your work.
So, okay, so then do you have any specific things that that you do to help keep yourself in check, to keep giving yourself feedback? When you're looking for that saying, I'm like, in NLP, we have a saying, there's no such thing as failure, there's only feedback, right?
Ooh.
That's all there is. Everything in life that doesn't go exactly as we expect it to go, we get to look at it and go, "Hey, what needs to change to make it go the way I want it to go?" Right? Or make it go
Mhm,
differently next time, right? What kind of
mhm,
feedback can I get from this experience? Even if the feedback is I'm not doing it that way ever again. Right?
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So do you have anything to kind of keep you in line with that?
I don't really have anything specific. I think that that might be a good strategy to have, but like and I don't even record things ahead, like, if I have, like, a moment. It's just like a conversation. It's not even like I don't write down anything. I maybe I'm bad at bookkeeping in that sense, but it's just a conversation that I have with myself out loud. I'll often even be falling like I'm so like a business brain or I'll be falling asleep. And like I'll be like I'll have a dream about like, oh, this situation happened. And like I'm so wrapped up in my business. That's my passion. So it's not really a business, it's a passion for business, which makes it seem less like work, that I don't have any structure around it. I just am living in the moment as far as how I can support myself and stay grounded.
Mhm. I love that. So then what are you working towards? What's the big picture outcome? Like, what's success going to look like for you when you get there?
Hmm. And
Are
I
you
think
there
that
already?
success, no. Well, yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I think that there's so much like the word success is something that could be unpacked for forever. I think that there's this expectation that success is like sold out sales and super established and credible. And of course that's one person's interpretation of success, but for me, I believe success to be when a child has mm, a nervous feeling and they get up on stage anyways and they overcome that fear or that anxiety and they perform and they sing their heart out. I would say that that's success. Or when a child is feeling so, or when a parent says, or when a child is feeling nervous on the first day and then at the end of the camp they walk away having made friends or having felt safe and seen. I would say that that's also success too
Mhm.
for
So
me.
that's what you're seeing in the kids, and, like, when they're succeeding like that, you're taking that as your own success because you've created the space for them to go ahead and do that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. So, how do you keep hold of your passion, of your purpose? How do you help yourself stay, aligned up with that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I have to remind myself of my why. I wrote a business plan recently, 10 years in, and I just wrote a business plan. And the business plan talks a lot about like your why and what you see, you like what your future is. But in order to see the future of the business, you have to go backwards a bit and talk about your values and the purpose and the steps that you're going to take to reach this end goal. And this my end goal, my mission is to make the performing arts accessible and inclusive for all children. And I remind myself most every day when I have like a hard moment or I'm feeling frustrated or insecure as a teacher about what I've done, why this is why am I doing this? I have to remind myself that. So I would say that that is something that I'm working towards in reminding myself the passion behind and where I came from in terms of not able to access arts and yeah.
Mhm. I think that was kind of interesting, when you're saying you have to go back, you have to reflect as to what's happened to get the values because you're talking about lived values, not just, idealistic values. This would be nice if this is what we were valuing. This is like proven, like clearly this is what I'm valuing because this is what I've been doing. This is where I've been putting the energy and this is what
Mhm,
I'm putting my attention on, right? And I feel
mhm,
like a lot of people get, they don't separate those 2 different types of values, right? Like, the ones that are, like, pie in the sky versus, like, the actual, like, boots on the ground kind of values of what's actually happening in real life.
mhm.
Yeah. So, how like, I know you say you've been doing this for 10 years, but, like, as a teenager, you started this when you were, like, what was it, 13, 14? Like, you were young, yeah? Yes. So when you first started this and you were just having fun with it, what kept you, like, going along for 10 whole years? Was it, you know, as a kid, we can get the next shiny thing, can distract us easily. But for you to stay so focused on this for so long from such a young age, that's a pretty, for me, when I first met you, I was like, wow, that's an incredible thing. And then the way that you're able to speak about this passion too. So was it just the why that kept you going? Was there something that you're working towards? What's it been like?
Well, I think when I first started, it was that I was in a theater program for 2 years, and then it was the 3rd year was coming around, and my mom was like, "Nope, we can't do it." Right? We couldn't and I was like, "Okay," but, like, we just did Aladdin, and that was really fun, and my best friend has 2 little sisters, maybe we could just, like, do our own Aladdin, and so I just brought them over to my house, and then I started teaching them, and then more kids in my neighborhood. I lived in a very low income housing complex with a lot of kids who were just playing outside. And I had a very like my personality is very much like bossy leader. I was like the bossy kid in the friend group who told all the kids around. And when we played house, I was like the mom and I told all the people what to do. And so I think that my natural instincts to like gather and recruit was really easy for me. And then I also have always loved singing and dancing. And I was that kid who like would make up songs and I'd be like, "Mom, film me doing this and I'm doing a dance and watch me do this." And so I liked the limelight and I also liked teaching and bossing kids around. And so I was really fortunate to be able to find those two passions and for them to come together so quickly. I think that it's definitely not everybody's cup of tea, both teaching and just finding what they wanted to do at such a young age. So I feel really quite privileged in that sense to have found what I was so passionate about so early on, but I don't think that's where it I don't think it came from a wanting to create inclusivity. It was just I wanted to be included. I wanted to be a part of the arts. And so I got kids who also wanted to be part of the arts to join me on this little project that just kind of grew.
Mhm. I feel like a lot of people in the helping professions, that is what it is, where it starts. They wanted to help themselves and, the experience somehow, did change them, right? They went to a chiropractor and that chiropractor changed their life. So now they're like, okay, I'm going to go and give this to everybody, right? And for you having the experience of music and, theater and what it was providing to you and being like, I want to have more of that. That's
Yeah, yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which seems almost kind of selfish, right? Because I'm like, no, but I wasn't able to be in the arts, but I still want to be. So let's just, you guys come over so I can boss you around.
Well, it's interesting, right? The selfish thing, because a lot of the time when
Mm,
we're doing things that seem selfish, it's actually one of the more selfless things we can do because when we're filling up our cup, then we have more to give other people, right? If your
mm,
needs, if you're, if you're feeling whole, then you can show up whole for other people, for those kids, right? For, any potential partners you have, for whatever, right? Versus if you're feeling like you're not getting your needs met, you don't have what you want, you're going to show up in pain and hurt people, right? If we're not,
mm,
if we're not all healed up, we're going to do funky things. So, yeah, what if you could look at it as like you filling your cup up was super selfless and look at all
mhm,
the people that have benefited from that overflow.
mhm. I like
right?
that.
Yeah. So before we wrap it up here, is there anything else that you want to leave the listeners here with, the people who want to start stepping into your model of the world?
Um, I think that one of my favorite things in sharing with other people and like their passion is finding their why. I feel really fortunate to be able to have found my why so early in creating accessible arts programs. And like, that's an advice that I can give for other people who are finding their journey and their adventure is finding their why and really hanging on to that in any sense. I have gotten into entrepreneurship because of my why. And I think that oftentimes people jump into entrepreneurship or any sort of journey and not necessarily have that why at the forefront, but bringing that why to the forefront every day as a reminder really helps you stay determined on your path.
Keeping that passion front of mind and clear. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love it. So, if anybody who's listening wants to connect with Queen, or you've got some kids that would love to be a part of her program, we're going to leave all of her links below in the caption here so you can reach out, you can connect, and make sure that you can be a part of that. It was just so wonderful having you on here, Queen. I love that you let us step into your world as just this bossy teenager who's been, providing really awesome spaces for kids for a very long time. I hope that this continues for, decades to come.
Thank you. Thank you so much.